Every wasted minute is a piece of your life you can never get back. That truth should make you stop and think. Time is not waiting for you. It doesn't pause while you decide. It doesn't return once it's gone, and it doesn't care about excuses. The way you use your minutes shows how much you value your life. Ask yourself how many days have slipped by while you promised yourself you would start tomorrow. How many opportunities have been lost because you allowed distraction, delay, or comfort to steal your time? This is not about having more hours. It's about learning to use the ones you already have with purpose and clarity. In this audiobook, you will discover how to stop wasting time, how to act when it counts, and how to turn each day into proof of your commitment. Your life changes the moment you start valuing every minute. Chapter 1. Stop delaying choices and decide what matters right now. When you think about your life, you realize something very simple but often ignored. Every choice you delay is a piece of your life wasted. Every minute you sit back and wait for a perfect moment, you lose a chance to grow, to build, to change something important. Time doesn't ask your permission to move. It goes forward whether you are ready or not. The question is, are you going forward with it, or are you standing still hoping for another chance? Most people get stuck because they delay choices. They wait for more confidence, more money, more approval, more certainty. But the truth is, waiting doesn't make life easier. Waiting doesn't give you courage. Courage is built by doing, not delaying. You will never find a perfect moment because life was never designed to give you perfect conditions. If you want things to change, you must decide. Now, the longer you hold back, the heavier the decision becomes, and the harder it feels to act. Think about your own days. How many times have you told yourself you'll start tomorrow? How many times have you carried the same decision for weeks, months, maybe even years? That looming task, be it a job application, a health issue, a new project, or a difficult conversation, weighs on you. You dwell on it, yet you postpone action. This delay, however, comes at a significant cost: your peace of mind, your progress, and your precious time. To truly optimize every minute, you must stop procrastinating and immediately decide what truly matters. When you delay, you inadvertently cultivate a habit of hesitation. You normalize the thought of "not today." Once hesitation takes root, it permeates every aspect of your life. You'll find yourself hesitant to speak up, to act, and even to believe in your own capabilities. Your world shrinks as you surrender your personal power to indecision. But the opposite is also true. When you train yourself to decide, even in small things, you create momentum. You prove to yourself that you can act, that you can trust yourself, that your time matters. Ask yourself this question: what choice have you been delaying that you know deep down must be made? Don't soften it. Don't escape it. Face it. Because the longer you run from it, the more it controls you. Deciding doesn't always mean you know exactly how things will turn out, but it means you are willing to step forward. And the moment you step forward, your confidence grows. Clarity comes after you act, not before. When you make a decision right now, you release the pressure building in your mind. Think of the relief you feel after finally handling something you avoided for too long. The call. You make the task, you finish the truth, you speak, it frees you. Suddenly you realize it took less energy to act than it did to keep delaying. That's the psychology of action. Doing creates power, waiting steals it. If you want to make your minutes count, start by cutting out the weight of indecision. Decide what matters to you and move. If it's your health, decide today to walk, to eat differently, to take care of your body. If it's your career, decide today to apply, to learn, to build the skills you need. If it's your relationships, Decide today to call to apologize, to be honest. Don't wait for another season of life to hand you permission. Life doesn't wait, and neither should you. Notice how you feel when you are stuck in delay. You feel restless, frustrated, sometimes even guilty. That's your mind signaling that you are out of alignment with what you know you should be doing. It's like carrying a weight you never put down, and when you keep delaying, that weight multiplies. But when you decide, the weight drops, and you walk lighter. That lightness gives you more energy for the next step. That's how progress builds, decision by decision. Some people tell themselves they are waiting to be more confident. But confidence doesn't show up before the decision. Confidence shows up after the decision, after the action. Think about it. The first time you did something new, you weren't confident, you were unsure. But by doing it, by acting, you built confidence. Waiting for confidence is like waiting to feel strong before lifting the weight. It doesn't happen. You lift first. You get stronger after. Another reason people delay is fear. Fear of failing, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. But the truth is, not deciding is also a decision. It's the decision to stay the same, and staying the same is the biggest risk of all. You may avoid failure by not acting, but you also avoid growth, progress, and new opportunities. Fear will always be there. The only way to reduce it is by facing it, not by waiting for it to disappear. Think about how different your life could look 1 year from today if you decided on the things you've been putting off. Imagine the habits you could build, the skills you could learn, the results you could create. That future is not built in some far-off day. It starts with one choice made right now, and then another tomorrow, and another the next day. Decisions build days and days, build lives. Practical steps help. Start with small, clear choices. When you wake up, instead of delaying, decide on your first action. Maybe it's exercising. Maybe it's writing down your tasks. Maybe it's calling someone you've been avoiding. Don't think too long. Pick it and do it. Train yourself to close the gap between thought and action. That gap is where procrastination lives. Shorten the gap, and you take back your time. Every time you delay, remind yourself of the cost. Time doesn't return. The day you waste doesn't reset. So make it a habit to ask, is this delay helping me or hurting me? That simple awareness can shake you out of hesitation and push you into action over time. This practice rewires your mind to value decisions instead of delays. You also need to learn how to decide what truly matters. Not every choice deserves your energy. Some things are distractions disguised as opportunities. Some things are noise disguised as urgency. You must decide based on your values, not just your impulses. Ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? If yes, decide quickly and act. If not, let it go. Deciding what doesn't matter is as powerful as deciding what does. It frees your time for what truly counts. If you want to make every minute work for you, this is where you begin. Stop delaying choices. Choose what matters. Act on it. Feel the relief. Build momentum. Watch your minutes transform into progress. Don't underestimate the power of small decisions stacked daily. They create a pattern of discipline that shapes your future. You don't need to wait for the right conditions to start. You don't need to know every step. You need only to decide and act on what's in front of you. That's how you grow. That's how you make time your ally instead of your enemy. Right now, you have two options. What one choice have you been carrying for too long? Decide on it. Act on it. Don't stretch it another day. Your life changes. When you stop delaying, your future begins. when you decide what matters right now. That's how you make every minute work for you, by refusing to waste it in hesitation, by deciding and acting today, by choosing to live, not just to wait. The truth is, small tasks don't stay small for long. They expand in your head, they steal your attention, and they make you feel trapped. Something that could have been finished in 5 minutes suddenly weighs on you all day. That weight slows you down, drains your energy, and makes bigger goals harder to chase. Acting fast is not about rushing. It is about refusing to let simple responsibilities turn into heavy burdens. Think about how many times you have told yourself, "I'll do it later." Later becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. And suddenly you are overwhelmed by a list of unfinished things. The dishes pile up, the emails multiply, the bills wait, the calls you need to return feel heavier every day. Each delay makes the task bigger than it really is. And while the task grows in your mind, your confidence shrinks. You start doubting your ability to keep up. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you pay that bill right when you see it. You answer that message right when you read it. You put that item away right when you finish using it. The task disappears. Before it becomes stress, you feel lighter, clearer, and more in control. That is the psychology of small actions done quickly. They protect your energy. They prevent unnecessary stress. They give you the feeling of progress without delay. The danger of ignoring small tasks is that they don't just sit there quietly. They follow you. They come back into your mind when you are trying to focus on something important. You sit down to work on a project, but the thought of an unfinished errand interrupts you. You want to enjoy your evening, but the email you avoided pops into your head. Every small task, left undone, steals moments of peace. Acting fast is a way of taking that peace back. There is another reason why small tasks should be handled quickly. They build discipline in your daily routine. Every time you finish something right away, you are training your brain to be a finisher, not a procrastinator. You are teaching yourself that action is natural, not something to be resisted. Over time, this habit strengthens your willpower. When bigger challenges come, you already have the practice of acting instead of hesitating. People sometimes believe they need to wait for motivation before they act. That is a mistake. Motivation comes after action, not before. When you knock out a small task, you feel good about it. They are the minutes between the big moments. If you ignore them, they pile up and block your path. If you take care of them quickly, they keep your path clear so you can focus on what matters most. The small things make the big things possible. Here is how you can apply this. The moment you see a task that takes less than 5 minutes, do it right away. Don't put it on a list. Don't tell yourself you'll handle it later. Act. Now, over time, you'll notice how light your mind feels. You'll see how much more energy you have for the bigger work. You will stop carrying the weight of unfinished business and start moving freely. Acting fast also builds trust with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to act, immediately you strengthen your self-respect. You stop being the person who delays. You become the person who handles things. That shift in identity changes how you see yourself. You stop making excuses because excuses don't match who you are anymore. You start holding yourself to a higher standard because you know you can live up to it. There's a deeper psychological effect as well. Small unfinished tasks create mental clutter. They fill your brain with open loops. Your mind constantly reminds you about what you haven't done. This is why people feel stressed even when they're not busy. They are carrying dozens of little things they've avoided by finishing tasks quickly. You close those loops. You give your brain rest. You free up mental energy for creativity, problem solving, and meaningful work. Think about the difference in how you feel at the end of a day where you acted fast versus a day where you delayed. On the first day, you feel accomplished. You fall asleep, knowing nothing small is hanging over you. On the second day, you feel unsettled. You know tomorrow is already overloaded because today's tasks spilled over. One choice makes you peaceful. The other makes you restless. Which life do you want to live? Acting fast is also a way to respect other people's time. When you respond quickly, when you deliver on your word, you build trust. If something feels big, break it down. Do the first 5 minutes. Now, that first action shrinks the weight of the task. It changes it from overwhelming to manageable, and once you start, you often find it wasn't as hard as you thought. You also need to notice how you feel when you put something off. That discomfort, that mental heaviness is a signal. Don't ignore it. Use it as a reminder that the easiest time to act is now. The longer you wait, the more resistance grows. The shorter the gap between seeing a task and starting it, the easier life becomes. If you want to test yourself, try this tomorrow. Each time you think of a task that takes less than 10 minutes, do it instantly. At the end of the day, notice how much lighter you feel. Notice how much more mental space you have. That experiment alone will prove to you how powerful this habit is. The real reward of acting fast is not just the tasks you finish, it's the mindset you build. You stop being someone who carries unfinished business. You become someone who moves, someone who clears space for progress, someone who doesn't let life pile up on them. That shift is worth more than the minutes saved. It changes your character. Remember this: small tasks are not harmless. Left undone, they grow heavy. They fill your days with pressure you don't need. But if you act fast, they stay small. They disappear before they steal your energy. They give you confidence, peace, and momentum. The difference between being overwhelmed and being in control often comes down to how you handle the little things. Life is not only about big decisions and big goals, it is also about the small steps you take each day. Those steps, handled quickly and consistently, shape the quality of your time. They make every minute count. Don't let simple responsibilities steal your future. Handle them as soon as they appear. Act fast, keep your load light, build your momentum, and move forward without the weight of delay. That is how you make every minute work for you, by refusing to let small tasks grow heavy, by acting before hesitation grows, and by proving to yourself every day that your time is too valuable to waste. Chapter 3. Ward your attention like treasure and block empty noise. Attention is one of the most valuable resources you have in life. What you give your attention to grows stronger, and what you ignore slowly fades away. The problem is that most people treat their attention carelessly. They let anything and anyone interrupt it. They let noise, distractions, and meaningless input steal hours from their days. If you want to make every minute work for you, you must learn to guard your attention like it is treasure, because that's exactly what it is. Once you lose it, you can't buy it back. When you sit down to do something important, notice how quickly distractions show up. A notification on your phone, a message from a friend, a random urge to scroll through social media, a headline you didn't need to read. Noise is everywhere. It comes from the outside, but it also comes from within. External noise is the endless stream of information, opinions and distractions competing for your eyes and ears. Internal noise is the endless stream of information, opinions and distractions competing for your eyes and ears. With focus, even the simplest effort can create powerful results. Guarding your attention starts with knowing what deserves it. Not everything is worthy of your focus. Some things may feel urgent, but they don't move your life forward. You must become selective. Ask yourself before engaging with something, does this matter to my growth, my goals, or my well-being? If the answer is no, block it. Every yes to distraction is a no to progress. Every time you let noise take over, you trade precious minutes for nothing in return. One of the most damaging habits today is constant exposure to meaningless information. People scroll endlessly, consuming content they forget 5 minutes later, and fill their minds with noise. That doesn't add value. The brain adapts to what you feed it. If you train it on distraction, you weaken its ability to go deep on meaningful work. If you train it on discipline, you build the strength to stay focused for long periods. The choice is yours. What you allow shapes who you become. It's not enough to tell yourself you'll focus. You need a system. Create boundaries for your attention. Turn off notifications that don't matter. Set specific times to check messages instead of reacting to every beep. Create a workspace where you don't invite distractions. Protect your mornings or evenings for your most important work. These practices are like locks on the doors of your attention. Without them, anyone or anything can walk in and take what they want. Guarding your attention also means protecting it from people who drain it. There will always be voices that pull you into negativity, gossip, or complaint. If you let those voices dominate, they eat away at your energy. Learn to limit your time around people who bring only noise. Spend more time around those who encourage focus, growth, and action. Who you allow in your space determines what fills your mind. Choose careful. Noise also hides in habits you no longer notice. Leaving the television on for background sound. Checking your phone every few minutes without purpose. Starting the day by scrolling instead of planning. These small habits create leaks in your attention. They make you weaker over time. Replacing them with intentional habits makes you stronger. Begin the day by deciding your top priorities. Take short breaks to breathe or walk. Instead of drowning in screens, close your day with reflection instead of noise. These simple changes repair your attention and give you back control. You will notice that when your attention is scattered, you feel restless and unsatisfied. You might spend hours busy, but finish with little to show. On the other hand, when your attention is guarded, you feel accomplished even after fewer hours of work. It's not the number of hours that matter most, it's the quality of attention within those hours. A focused hour can do more for your life than a distracted day. Guarding your attention also protects your emotions. Noise often carries negativity, fear, anger, envy, comparison. The more you consume it, the more you carry it. Protecting your attention means protecting your inner state. Instead of letting random content set your emotions, you set them yourself. You decide what enters your mind and what stays outside. That discipline creates stability. You don't get pulled in every direction. You stay steady, calm, and clear. Think about how many dreams have been delayed. Not because people lack talent or resources, but because they let distractions eat away at their time. They never finished the book, never started the business, never learned the skill because their attention was stolen 1,000 times a day. If you want your life to be different, you must fight for your focus. Treat it as seriously as money, health, or relationships, because without it, those other areas suffer too. Start practicing awareness. Each time you feel the pull of noise, stop and notice it. Ask yourself, does this deserve me right now? Often the answer is no. By simply noticing, you weaken the pull, you take back control, and each time you resist, your focus grows stronger like a muscle. Attention strengthens with training. Some people will argue they need distractions to relax. The truth is, distraction doesn't relax you, it numbs you. Real rest comes from silence, nature, movement, or meaningful connection, not endless noise. Learn to give your mind quiet time. In that quiet, you'll find clarity and ideas you could never hear over the noise. You don't need to eliminate all noise at once. Start small. Choose 1 hour a day to block it completely. No phone, no background chatter, no random scrolling. Dedicate that hour to something meaningful. After a week, expand to 2 hours. As you build this habit, you'll notice your productivity rise, your stress lower, and your satisfaction grow. Together they decide the direction of your life. Guard them both with discipline. At the end of your life, you won't regret missing a few headlines or not watching another meaningless video, but you will regret the goals you never pursued because you were too distracted to focus. Protect your attention now, so you don't carry that regret later. Making every minute work for you means choosing carefully where you place your focus. Block out the empty noise. Value your concentration as much as your time. Decide each day what deserves your attention and what doesn't. When you master this, your minutes will no longer slip away into distractions. They will build something lasting, something meaningful, something you are proud of. Guard your attention like treasure, because it is the foundation of every result you want. If you lose it, everything else weakens. If you protect it, everything else grows. That choice belongs to you each day, and the sooner you make it, the sooner your minutes begin to truly matter. Chapter 4. Push yourself to finish today, not tomorrow. One of the hardest habits to break is the habit of carrying today's work into tomorrow. It feels harmless at first. You tell yourself you'll finish it later, maybe in the morning, maybe after you've rested. But when tomorrow arrives, the weight is still there, heavier than before, because now you are not only facing a new day's demands, but also the leftovers from yesterday. This cycle of postponement quietly destroys momentum. It builds stress. It reduces your belief in your own discipline. If you want to make every minute work for you, you must push yourself to finish today, not tomorrow. There is a sense of relief that only comes from closing the day with your tasks complete. You fall asleep knowing you gave the day everything it deserved. Your mind is calm. You rest deeper because there's nothing chasing you into the next day. Compare that to the feeling of leaving work undone. It follows you into your evenings. It interrupts your rest, and when you wake up, you are already behind. That is the hidden cost of procrastination. It steals not just hours, but peace. Finishing today means training yourself to fight the urge of, "I'll get to it later." That urge is comfortable, but comfort is the enemy of progress. Growth is built on decisions that stretch you beyond what you feel like doing. You may feel tired, bored, or uninspired, but if you choose to finish anyway, you prove to yourself that discipline is stronger than mood. Tomorrow is uncertain, but today is here. That is why action today is the most reliable form of progress. Look closely at the way unfinished work multiplies. You put off one phone call, then tomorrow there are two. You delay writing one page, then tomorrow you need to write two. You avoid one workout, then tomorrow the resistance doubles. This is how delay grows into overwhelm. But when you finish today, you prevent the pile from forming. You stop the chain before it becomes unmanageable. This principle applies in every area: career, health, relationships, and personal goals. The psychology of delay is simple. The mind seeks escape from discomfort, but the more you escape, the weaker you become. Every time you finish today, you reverse that pattern. You build resilience. You train yourself to face discomfort directly and come out stronger over time. You begin to see challenges not as threats, but as opportunities to strengthen your discipline, and that shift changes everything. Some people believe they work better under pressure, so they put things off until the last minute. In reality, they're trading quality for urgency. The work becomes rushed, the stress multiplies, and the satisfaction disappears. Finishing today means respecting the task enough to give it your best, not your last-second effort. Pressure should come from within, not from deadlines chasing you. That is how excellence is built. The habit of finishing today requires clarity. You cannot finish what you haven't defined. Begin your day by deciding what must be completed before you rest. If a task can be finished in a few minutes, handle it immediately. If it requires more time, schedule it firmly into today. Refuse to let it drift into tomorrow's list. Your mind will resist at first, but the relief you feel once it's complete will outweigh the discomfort of doing it. Over time, you begin to crave that feeling of completion more than the temporary relief of postponing. Think about your evening. If you close the day with undone work, you feel restless, but if you finish, you enter the evening with pride. That pride fuels your confidence for tomorrow. Success is not built on grandiose once in a while. It is built on daily completion. The habit of finishing strengthens your identity as someone who follows through. That identity becomes the foundation for everything bigger you want to achieve. Years of postponing create decades of regret. Some will argue they don't have enough time to finish everything today, but the truth is, it's not about time, it's about decisions. You finish what you decide is essential. If you allow distractions, wasted hours and meaningless activity to steal your time, of course you won't finish. But if you cut out the unnecessary and focus on what truly matters, you'll realize you always had the time. The problem was never the clock. The problem was attention. Finishing today also requires honesty. Be honest about what you avoid. Avoidance doesn't remove the task. It delays the discomfort. Each time you avoid, you add another layer of stress. If you normally drift until late, set an earlier deadline. At first, it'll feel strict, but soon it becomes freeing. You are no longer chasing work late into the night. You are managing it within the day. Another step is to create a ritual of closure. Review what you've done, check it off, and acknowledge the completion. Strength is built in moments of weakness when you act anyway. Finishing today is also an act of respect for your future self. Tomorrow you deserves a clean slate, not leftover problems. When you leave things unfinished, you punish the person you'll be tomorrow. When you finish, you gift them freedom. That simple perspective shift can give you new motivation. You are not just finishing for today, you are protecting tomorrow. Notice the people who achieve consistent success. They don't carry piles of unfinished work. They build the discipline of closing tasks daily. The difference is not talent, luck, or intelligence. It's the refusal to let today spill into tomorrow. You can build that same habit. It starts with one choice at a time. Every day ends with a question. Did I finish what mattered? If the answer is yes, you move forward with pride. If the answer is no, you fall behind. Each day is an opportunity to prove your discipline, to value your minutes, and to build the future you want. Tomorrow is not promised. All you truly have is today. That is why finishing matters so much. The truth is simple. Unfinished work is wasted. Potential completed work is progress. You get to decide which you live with. When you finish today, you step into tomorrow with strength. When you delay, you drag yesterday with you. Over time, that difference decides who you become. Push yourself to finish today. Don't trust tomorrow to carry what you avoided. Life rewards those who act now, not those who wait. Each day is a chance to prove that your time matters, that your commitments mean something, and that you are capable of follow through. Make today count by closing it strong. That is how you make every minute work for you, by refusing to leave your work unfinished, by showing up for your goals today, and by never giving tomorrow what should be done right now. Chapter 5. Turn pressure into action instead of hiding from it. Pressure is not something to escape from. Pressure is part of life. Everyone faces it, whether in work, in family, in health, or in decisions that carry weight. The difference between people who grow and people who stay stuck is not that one has less pressure. The difference is how they respond to it. Most people run from pressure. They delay, they hide, or they numb themselves with distractions, but that only makes the pressure heavier. The strongest choice you can make is to turn pressure into action. When you act, you transform the energy of pressure into progress instead of pain. Think about what pressure really is. It is a signal that something matters. You don't feel pressure about unimportant things. You feel it when your choices have consequences, when your responsibilities demand attention, when your goals challenge you to rise higher. Pressure is evidence that your life carries weight. Instead of treating it as an enemy, you can treat it as a call to step up. When you avoid pressure, your mind suffers twice. First, you feel the weight of what you must do. Second, you feel guilt for not doing it. Avoidance does not reduce pressure, it multiplies it. On the other hand, when you take action, even if it is just a small step, the weight begins to lift. Action changes the story in your head. Instead of feeling trapped, you feel capable. Instead of being crushed by responsibility, you feel empowered by it. If you use it as fuel to act, you grow stronger. Think of the times in your life when you felt the most pressure. Maybe it was before an exam, a presentation, a critical decision, or a conversation you were afraid to have. Now ask yourself what happened once you finally acted. Most of the fear vanished. The build-up was worse than the reality. That is the nature of pressure. It looks bigger in your mind than it is in reality. The cure is not more time thinking, it is action. Action turns pressure into focus. When you act, your energy moves toward the solution instead of circling the problem. Pressure narrows your vision, and if you let fear control it, you freeze. But if you push forward, the same narrow vision gives you sharp focus. The very thing that felt heavy becomes the reason you get more done in less time. This is why some people perform best under pressure. They don't run from it. They channel it. To make this practical, notice how you respond the moment pressure shows up. Do you freeze, distract yourself, or complain? Or do you take the first possible step forward? The habit of acting immediately rewires your brain. You stop associating pressure with fear and start associating it with action. Over time, pressure stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like a trigger for productivity. You must also understand that pressure is not proof you are failing. Many people confuse the two. They feel pressure and assume it means they are not strong enough, not ready, not capable. In reality, pressure is proof that you are being stretched. You only grow by being stretched. If you never feel pressure, you are living far below your potential. If you embrace it, you find out how much more you can do than you ever thought possible. The temptation to hide from pressure comes from the desire for comfort. Comfort feels safe, but safe does not equal strong. Safe does not equal successful. Growth requires discomfort. If you make comfort your standard, you will never reach beyond the average. If you make progress your standard, you will learn to handle discomfort until it becomes natural. That is how you turn pressure into action. Another thing to remember is that pressure often comes from deadline. Deadlines can be stressful, but they are also useful. They force you to act within a time frame. Without them, tasks expand endlessly. Instead of resenting deadlines, use them as motivators. They create urgency that keeps you from wasting time. When you commit to finishing within the pressure of a deadline, you train yourself to deliver even when it is uncomfortable. That discipline is worth more than the temporary relief of postponement. The way you talk to yourself under pressure also matters. If your inner voice says, "I can't handle this," the pressure will crush you. If your voice says, "I will take one step," now the pressure turns into movement. Self-talk directs your focus. Positive self-talk under pressure is not pretending everything is easy. It is reminding yourself that action is always possible and one step forward is always within your control. You also need strategies for staying calm while acting under pressure. Deep breathing, short breaks, and mental resets allow you to stay steady without collapsing, but the key is not to stay still too long. Rest briefly, then return to action if you rest too long. Rest turns back into avoidance. The balance is important enough to recharge, not enough to retreat. Notice how you feel after turning pressure into action. You feel stronger, more capable, and more confident. This confidence carries into future challenges. Every time you face pressure, you build a library of proof that you can handle it. That proof becomes your strength. Instead of fearing the next challenge, you remember the last one you overcame. That memory gives you courage in relationships. Pressure shows up in difficult conversations. Many people avoid them, hoping problems disappear, but problems grow in silence. Action means speaking honestly, even if it is uncomfortable. Pressure can push you to communicate, to set boundaries, to repair trust. Hiding from it only builds resentment. Facing it builds respect and clarity in health. Pressure shows up when your habits catch up with you. Ignoring it makes things worse. Action means exercising, eating better, seeking help when needed. The earlier you act, the lighter the pressure becomes. Waiting only increases the cough. In finances, pressure shows up when bills pile up, debts grow, or responsibility demand attention. Many hide from it, pretending it isn't there, but ignoring money problems only multiplies them. Action means creating a plan, cutting unnecessary spending, finding new ways to earn, and sticking to discipline. Facing it early makes it manageable. Avoiding it makes it overwhelming. Pressure is not something to fear. It is something to use. Each time you feel it, remind yourself that it is an invitation to act. The action may be small, but it shifts the weight. Once you move, you regain control. Waiting only makes the mountain taller. Moving makes it smaller. Step by step over time, turning pressure into action builds resilience. You stop breaking down at the first sign of stress. You stop running from responsibility. You learn to stand firm, to move forward, to take ownership. This resilience becomes part of your identity. You stop doubting yourself because you've proven to yourself many times that you don't hide. You act. Life will always bring pressure that will never change. What can change is your response. You can train yourself to see pressure as a signal to act, not a reason to run. The moment you shift this perspective, your relationship with stress transforms. You see it as something sharpening you. Every day will bring moments of pressure, big and small. Use them as practice. Don't look for ways to avoid them. Look for the next step. You can take the habit of action turns pressure into progress. That habit, repeated day after day, gives you strength no comfort zone can offer. When you reach the end of your days, it won't be the pressure you remember. It'll be the actions you took, despite it. Those actions will define the life you lived, the goals you reached, and the example you set. So never waste your energy hiding from what life demands. Face it, act on it, turn every ounce of pressure into forward motion. That is how you build strength. That is how you build character, and that is how you make every minute of your life count. Chapter 6. Catch yourself wasting time and switch back to focus. One of the greatest skills you can build in life is the ability to notice when you are wasting time and to bring yourself back to focus immediately. Most people drift without realizing it. They start with good intentions, but within minutes, they are pulled into distractions that have nothing to do with their goals. Hours pass, and when they finally notice, it is too late. The key is not to expect perfect focus all the time. The key is to train yourself to catch the drift quickly and redirect your energy back to what matters. Time is easy to lose because distractions feel small. You tell yourself you will check a message for a minute, watch a video for a moment, or scroll briefly before getting back to work. But minutes multiply, and soon you are far from where you intended to be. That is why awareness is essential. You must become sharp enough to recognize the moment when your attention slips. Awareness is like an alarm bell. It reminds you that your time is slipping into activities that give you nothing in return. Wasting time often feels harmless in the moment. That is why it is so dangerous. You don't feel the loss immediately, but when you look back on weeks or months, the gap becomes clear. You realize how much more you could have built, how much closer you could have been to your goals, how much stronger you could have become. Regret arrives quietly, but it always arrives. The habit of catching yourself in the act protects you from that regret. Switching back to focus is not about guilt. It is about responsibility. When you notice you are wasting time, don't spend more time criticizing yourself. That only deepens the delay. The fastest way to recover is to stop the distraction immediately and redirect your energy to a meaningful task. Every second spent dwelling on failure is another second wasted. Train yourself to act, not to dwell. Think about the difference in how two people handle distraction. One notices they are wasting time and decides, "I've already lost focus, so today is ruined." They give up and continue wasting hours. Another notices they are wasting time and decides, "I will stop now and return to work." They may have lost 10 minutes, but they saved the rest of the day. That single choice makes the difference between a wasted day and a productive one. The habit of switching back to focus quickly is a discipline you can strengthen. At first, you may only notice after a long time, but the more you practice, the faster you catch yourself. Eventually, you'll notice within minutes, and over time, you'll notice within seconds. That awareness gives you control. Distractions don't vanish, but they no longer own you. Another important point is to understand what focus really means. Focus is not just sitting still with a task. Focus is choosing in this moment what matters most and giving it your full attention. If you are working, focus is finishing the task without drifting. If you are resting, focus is truly resting without the pull of endless noise. If you are with someone, focus is being fully present without letting your mind wander to your phone. Catching yourself when you lose focus is not just about work, it is about living fully in each moment. Many people waste time because they don't have clear priorities. When you don't know what matters most, distractions look more attractive. You drift because you have nothing solid to anchor your time. That is why clarity is essential. Begin each day knowing exactly what you must accomplish. Write it down, keep it in front of you. When you notice yourself drifting, this clarity pulls you back. You don't waste time wondering what to do next. You already know. Environment plays a major role in wasting or saving time. If your surroundings are full of distractions, catching yourself becomes harder. The phone within reach, the television in the background, the endless tabs open on your computer. These are traps waiting to catch your attention. You can't rely only on willpower. You must design your environment to reduce temptation. Put the phone in another room. Close the tabs that don't serve your work. Create a space where focus is natural. Another tool is to build small checkpoints into your day. Stop every hour and ask yourself, am I using this hour wisely? If not, adjust immediately. These checkpoints act like course correction. They prevent you from drifting too far. Without them, you might waste half a day before noticing. With them, you never go long without awareness. Notice how your body feels. When you waste time, you may feel restless, unsatisfied, or even guilty. These feelings are signals. Don't ignore them. Use them as reminders to return to focus. The more you pay attention to your emotional state, the faster you'll catch the drift. Over time, you will develop a sensitivity to wasted time. What once felt normal will start to feel uncomfortable. That discomfort is a gift. It pushes you back to productivity. Switching back to focus also requires discipline in finishing tasks before starting new ones. Many people waste time by jumping from one thing to another, never fully completing anything. Multitasking creates the illusion of progress, but leads to half-done work. Train yourself to finish one thing before moving to the next. Each completion builds momentum. Each distraction broken strengthens your confidence. You must also be honest about the activities you call rest. Some activities give you real rest. Walking, reading something meaningful, spending time in silence. Other activities only waste time disguised as rest. Endless scrolling or mindless watching leaves you more tired, not more refreshed. Learn the difference. Choose rest that restores you, not rest that numbs you. Catching yourself. Wasting time is not about perfection. You will drift. You will slip. What matters is how fast you return. Don't let small slips turn into wasted days. Interrupt the cycle early. The faster you return, the stronger you become. This practice creates a sense of control that most people never experience. Instead of feeling like time owns you, you begin to own your time over the course of weeks and months. The effect compound. Every moment you save by switching back to focus builds into hours. Hours build into days. Days build into months of progress. What once felt like a small choice to stop wasting time and focus again becomes the reason your life looks completely different. The truth is, everyone wastes time. The difference is what you do. Once you notice, do you surrender and keep drifting, or do you switch back to focus and recover the rest of the day? That single decision separates those who succeed from those who fall behind. When you catch yourself, remind yourself of the cost of delay. Every minute wasted is a minute you will never get back. That reminder is not meant to create fear, but urgency. Urgency that pushes you into action now, not later. Life is too short to drift for hours in activities that leave you empty. Life demands presence, attention, and action. Make this your standard. I will waste less by noticing faster. Each time you bring yourself back, you strengthen your discipline. Each time you notice earlier, you sharpen your awareness over time. This habit becomes who you are. You become the kind of person who values minutes too much to let them slip away at the end of your life. The hours you wasted won't matter to anyone but you. The hours you focused, the work you finished, the relationships you nurtured, that will matter to everyone around you. Don't let your story be one of wasted potential. Make it a story of awareness, discipline, and consistent return to focus. The practice is simple but powerful. Notice when you drift. Stop the distraction, return to the task. Do this over and over until it becomes natural. This is how you take control of your time. This is how you make sure your days are not swallowed by meaningless activities. This is how you create a life built on intention instead of accident. Your time is too valuable to waste. Train yourself to guard it by catching the drift early and switching back to focus. That habit will separate you from the majority of people who live distracted lives. It'll give you progress where others have excuses. It'll make every minute of your life count towards something meaningful. Chapter 7. Use the hardest hour to build the strongest habit. Every day gives you hours that feel easy and hours that feel difficult. The easy hours don't demand much from you. You can go through them almost without thinking, but there is always an hour that feels heavier than the rest. It could be the early morning when you don't want to rise. It could be late in the evening when you feel drained. It could be the middle of the day when distractions are strongest. That hardest hour is where your discipline is tested most. If you use that hour wisely, you build a level of strength that no comfortable moment can give you. This is where the strongest habits are created, not in the hours when you feel ready, but in the hours when you don't. The reason this works is because discipline is like a muscle. It doesn't grow in ease. It grows in resistance. The hardest hour is resistance in its purest form. It pushes against you, telling you to rest, to quit, to wait. Most people surrender. They tell themselves they'll try again later. But later never has the same effect. Later is softer. Later doesn't shape you the same way. The moment when you least want to act is the very moment that builds the deepest change when you push through. Think about it. Anyone can act when they feel good. Anyone can keep going. When energy is high, that doesn't separate you from the crowd. That's the choice that rewires your mind, that proves to yourself that your excuses have no power. When you win the hardest hour, the easier hours become automatic. Habits are not built in the mind alone. They are built in repeated action, and repeated action, during the hardest hour, carries a special weight. It's like striking the strongest blow at the toughest wall. Each time you show up during that difficult period, you carve a deeper groove in your character. You send yourself a message. I am the kind of person who shows up even when it's hard. That identity becomes unshakable. Consider the hour of waking up. For many people, getting out of bed early is the hardest thing they face each day. The body wants more sleep. The mind argues for comfort. But if you claim that hour, if you rise and begin with purpose, you've already won the day. You've built a habit of taking control before excuses have a chance to grow. That single habit ripples into every area of life. You are sharper at work, calmer in decisions, more consistent in your goal. For others, the hardest hour comes after work when they are tired and tempted to collapse into distraction. That hour holds a choice. Study, exercise, build a project, improve your skills. That one difficult hour used with intention can build habits that completely change your future. The strongest habit is not simply the one repeated. Most often, it is the one repeated at the toughest time. Why? Because it builds proof that you are stronger than your resistance. It creates a foundation that no excuse can break. Once you've proven, you can act in the hardest hour. Acting in every other hour becomes natural. You must learn to prepare for this. The hardest hour doesn't arrive by surprise. It shows up regularly. Know when it happens for you and defy it. Then decide in advance what you will do with it. Write it down when that hour arrives. Don't negotiate with yourself. Act, do the thing you promised yourself, even if it's only for a short time. The act of showing up changes everything. There is also a mental shift you must make. Stop seeing the hardest hour as an enemy. See it as a gift. That hour is the place where growth lives. That hour is where you separate yourself from the old version of you who gave in too easily. That hour is where the stronger version of you is born. Instead of dreading it, welcome it. Say to yourself, "This is where I get stronger." That mindset changes the meaning of struggle. They wait until they feel ready, until life gets calmer, until motivation rises. But the truth is easier, conditions never come. Life is full of difficult hours. If you keep waiting for ease, you never build the habits that carry you forward. The secret is to act in difficulty, not to wait for relief. Habits built in the hardest hour also last longer. Why? Because they are grounded in discipline, not emotion. Emotion fades, motivation disappears, but discipline once built remains. When you've trained yourself to act at the toughest moment, you no longer depend on how you feel, you depend on your decision. That stability is what makes a habit stick. Practical application matters here. Choose one habit that would change your life if repeated daily. Place it in your hardest hour. If your hardest hour is the morning, start with exercise, journaling, or study right after you wake. If your hardest hour is evening, dedicated to building your skills, planning your goals, or improving your health, protect that hour. Nothing else enters it. Over time, that hour becomes sacred, a place where growth is guaranteed. The more you use that hour, the more it transforms you. At first, it feels like a battle, but eventually it feels like victory. You begin to look forward to it, because you know that hour belongs to you, and you know what it creates. That transformation of perspective is powerful. What was once your weakest hour becomes your strongest. There will always be resistance. Some days the excuses will feel louder than ever, but remember this: you don't need to feel ready to act. You only need to take the first step. Once you start, momentum builds. The first push is always the hardest, but once it's done, the rest flow. Build the habit of starting in your hardest hour, and the rest of the day bends to your discipline. It's important to recognize the emotional reward of finishing something in that hour, the pride, the confidence, the satisfaction. It is greater than any comfort you would have gained by avoiding it. That reward fuels you for the rest of the day. It reminds you that you are capable of more than you think. It builds a library of victories in your mind. Each time you succeed, you add another layer of proof that you can handle challenges. Think about what happens if you do the opposite, if you avoid the hardest hour, if you give in each time. You weaken your own belief. You tell yourself you can't handle it. You train your brain to expect failure. That identity begins to spread into other areas of your life. Before you know it, you are giving up not just in the hardest hour, but in easier ones too. That is the danger of avoidance. The strongest people are not those who avoid struggle. They are those who lean into it. They know the hardest hour holds the key to their growth. They know that by using it wisely, they build habits that carry them. When motivation fades, they know that strength is not created in comfort, but in discomfort faced head-on. You can join them by making this choice each day at the end of your life. You won't remember the easy hours. You'll remember the hours when you wanted to quit, but didn't. You'll remember the times you chose discipline over excuses. Those are the hours that shape your character, that create your legacy. So decide now. Identify your hardest hour, claim it, place your most important habit inside it. Show up even when it feels impossible. Act even when every part of you wants to delay. That is how you build strength. That is how you build identity. That is how you make every minute of your life count. Chapter 8. Keep your phone away when real work begins. When it's time to do the work that really matters, the single biggest threat to your focus is sitting right in your pocket or on your desk. The phone has become a constant companion for most people, but it is also the greatest thief of time and attention in modern life. Every notification, every buzz, every urge to check, it pulls you away from the task that deserves your full attention. The truth is simple. You cannot give your best when your mind is divided, and nothing divides your mind faster than your phone. If you want to make progress in your most important work, you must build the discipline to keep it away the moment you begin. People underestimate how powerful the pull of the phone really is. It doesn't just steal the minute you spend checking it. It steals the momentum you had before you picked it up. When you look at your phone, even briefly, your focus is scattered. It can take 15 minutes or more for your brain to return to the depth of concentration you had before. Imagine how much time is lost in a single day. If you repeat that cycle dozens of times, you may sit at your desk for hours, but the truth is, you only worked with full focus for a fraction of that time. That's why so many people feel exhausted but unproductive. Work that requires depth, writing, studying, problem-solving, creating demands, and undivided mind. You cannot dip in and out of it while also giving pieces of your attention to a stream of messages and updates. To enter that state, you must cut the cord to distractions. Keeping your phone away is not about discipline alone. It's about designing an environment where focus has a chance to grow. Many people fool themselves into thinking they can handle both. They say they'll just check their phone quickly, but the human brain is not built for that kind of switching. Every shift leaves a residue, even after putting the phone down. Part of your mind is still processing what you saw, who messaged what you might have missed. That residue makes your thoughts cloudy, and cloudy thinking cannot produce sharp results. The phone is designed to keep you hooked. Companies have spent billions learning how to capture your attention. Every color, sound, and vibration is engineered to make you check it compulsively. That means the battle is not fair. You are not failing because you are weak. You are struggling because you are fighting a system built to make you lose. The way to win is not to try harder while keeping the phone within reach. The way to win is to remove it from the battlefield entirely, out of sight, out of reach, out of mind. Think of how different your work feels when your phone is not near you. The silence feels uncomfortable. At first, you feel restless, as though you are missing something, but if you sit with that discomfort, something powerful happens. Your mind begins to settle. You sink deeper into your task. Minutes stretch into blocks of time where you forget to check anything because you are absorbed in creating, building, or solving. That is the level of focus that produces results worth being proud of. Ask yourself how many important goals in your life have been delayed because your phone took the minutes that should have been dedicated to them. How many times have you sat down to work only to lose half the hour scrolling? The cost is not just lost minute. The cost is lost opportunities, lost ideas, and lost progress. If you want to change your future, you must first change how you protect your present moments. Keeping your phone away when real work begins is a habit that takes practice. At first it feels strange. You reach for it without thinking. Your hand moves before your mind notices. This is proof of how deep the habit has become. But every time you resist, every time you choose focus, instead you weaken the old pattern and strengthen a new one. Over weeks and months, your reflex changes. The urge grows weaker, and the peace of working without interruption grows stronger. Practical strategies help put your phone in another room when you start. If you need it for emergencies, keep it silent and face down where you can't see the screen. Set specific times to check it, maybe after 90 minutes of work or during scheduled breaks. Don't leave it as an option in the middle of your task. The more barriers you create between yourself and your phone, the more space you give your mind to work deeply. The reward of this discipline is enormous. You'll notice you finish tasks faster. You'll notice you remember more, understand more, and create better results. The stress of half work, half distraction begins to fade instead of feeling scattered. At the end of the day, you feel accomplished. You know you gave your best effort to what truly mattered. That feeling builds self-respect, and self-respect builds confidence. Some people resist this advice because they fear missing out. They believe they must always be available. But ask yourself honestly how many of those interruptions truly mattered. Most of the time they don't. Most of the time the world does not end. If you respond an hour later, what does matter is whether you use your limited time to build a life you are proud of. Constant availability to others often means complete unavailability to your own goals. You must decide which matters more. There is also a psychological freedom that comes when you detach from your phone. You realize how often it dictated your actions without you choose. Each buzz pulled you like a puppet on a string by keeping it away. You cut the strings. You regain the power to decide where your attention goes. That freedom is priceless. Once you experience it, you never want to give it up. Imagine what you could build in a year if you consistently worked with undivided focus. A book written, a business, launched a body, transformed a skill, mastered all of it is possible when you give your best hours to deep work instead of shallow distraction. The difference is not in talent or intelligence. It is in where you allow your attention to live. There is a deeper truth here too. How you treat your attention is how you treat your life. If you scatter it across endless trivialities, your life becomes scattered. If you concentrate it on meaningful work, your life becomes meaningful. The phone may seem small, but it is the gateway to the greatest distraction of our time. Keeping it away is not just about productivity, it is about choosing the kind of life you want to live. When you look back years from now, you won't remember the endless scrolls, the notifications, the meaningless updates, but you will remember the work you finished, the goals you reached, the impact you make. That difference begins with a simple act of discipline. Put the phone away when real work begins. Protect the sacred space where your focus builds your future. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you are shaping your identity. You are proving to yourself that you value your time, that you value your potential, that you are willing to do what others won't. Over time, this identity compounds into results that set you apart. Others will wonder how you achieved so much. The answer will be simple. You guarded your focus when it mattered most. So the next time you sit down to do something important, don't keep temptation within arm's reach. Put the phone aside. Create silence. Let your mind dive deep into the tar. Give yourself the chance to experience what it feels like to work without constant interruption. That practice alone can transform not only your productivity, but your entire sense of control over your life. Discipline in this one area may feel small, but it is the doorway to master it. Keep your phone away when real work begins, and you will find that the minutes you once lost now become the building blocks of your success. That is how you make every minute work for you, by protecting it from the noise, by choosing focus over distraction, and by giving your best energy to the work that matters most. Chapter 9. Push through boredom and see progress come alive. Boredom is one of the greatest barriers to success, yet it is rarely talked about with the seriousness it deserves. People think failure comes only from laziness or lack of opportunity, but the truth is most failure is born in moments of boredom. The routine becomes predictable, the repetition feels dull, and the excitement fades. That's when most people stop. They look for something new, something entertaining, something that feels easier. But here's the reality. Real progress is rarely exciting in the moment. Progress is built by staying steady in the dull, ordinary hours, by showing up when the process no longer feels special. The ones who keep going when it gets boring are the ones who eventually see results come alive. The human mind craves stimulation at once, novelty, change, and reward. That's why the beginning of any journey feels good. The start of a workout plan. You feel motivated, hopeful, full of energy, but then the routine sets in. The workouts blend together, the tasks become repetitive, the excitement fades. That's when the real test begins. If you quit during boredom, you never reach the point where progress reveals itself. You remain stuck in a cycle of starting and stopping, always chasing the next exciting thing, but never experiencing the satisfaction of long-term results. Pushing through boredom requires a shift in perspective. You must stop expecting every day to feel thrilling. Growth is not built in excitement. It is built in consistency. When you understand that, you stop looking for stimulation in the process and start looking for strength in the repetition. Each day, you continue, even when it feels dull. You are stacking bricks. You may not see the wall rising right away, but the wall is rising, and one day you'll look back and see what boredom almost stole from you. Boredom is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are doing the necessary work. The mind tells you that excitement equals value, but that's not true. Many of the most important things in life, saving money, eating well, practicing skills, reading, exercising, are not exciting day to day. They feel routine, but their long-term rewards are life-changing. If you walk away because of boredom, you are walking away from transformation. Consider someone who starts learning a skill, like playing an instrument or studying a language. In the beginning, each new lesson feels like progress, but after weeks or months, the learning slows, improvement feels less obvious, the practice sessions feel repetitive. This is where most people quit, but the ones who push through boredom cross into a new level of mastery. They unlock abilities they never would have reached if they stopped. The difference is not talent. It is endurance through boredom. The same principle applies to fitness. The first weeks of training often bring visible results, but then the body adjusts and progress slows. Workouts feel repetitive. People lose interest. That's why gyms are full in January and half empty by March. But those who stay through the dull months are the ones who transform their bodies by summer. Progress rewards the patient, not the easily distracted. To master boredom, you must learn to respect routine. Routine is not the enemy. It is the structure that allows growth to happen. Every great achievement is built on routines that felt boring to the person doing them. Athletes practice the same moves thousands of times. Writers return to the page every day, whether they feel inspired or not. Entrepreneurs work long hours on unglamorous details before success becomes visible. If they stopped because it felt dull, the world would never see their results. One practical way to push through boredom is to break your focus from results and place it on process instead of asking, "Am I seeing progress yet?" Ask, "Did I do the work today?" When you measure progress by daily action instead of immediate results, boredom loses its power. The results will come, but only if the actions remain. By rewarding yourself for showing up, you make consistency the goal. Consistency, not excitement, is what creates breakthroughs. You must also recognize boredom as a form of resistance. It is your mind testing you. It asks, are you serious or are you only here for fun? If you give in, the mind learns. It can stop you anytime by making things feel dull. But if you push through, the mind learns that boredom no longer works on you. That victory makes you stronger. not only for the current task, but for every challenge that follows. Switching your perspective on boredom also helps. Instead of seeing it as wasted time, see it as proof that you are on the right path. Boredom is the toll you pay to cross the bridge to mastery. It is not a signal to stop, it is a sign to keep going. Every time you endure boredom, you move closer to the day when progress becomes visible again. That day always comes, but only for those who keep going. Another strategy is to simplify your expectations. Too many people demand excitement from every effort they think they need to feel inspired to act. That is not true. You don't need inspiration to keep going. You need discipline. Discipline is what carries you through the plain days, the repetitive hours, the stretches where nothing feels new. Discipline is stronger than bored. When you rely on discipline instead of feelings, you gain control. It's also important to track your progress. Boredom blinds you to how far you've come. By writing things down, measuring your effort, or keeping a record, you create proof that progress is happening, even if you can't feel it daily. The numbers don't lie, the pages written, the hours practiced, the steps taken, they all add up. That record becomes your reminder that boredom does not mean failure. It means you are building something real. Boredom also trains patience. In a world where people want instant gratification, patience is rare, but patience is a superpower. When you learn to stay with something long enough, you gain access to results that impatient people will never see. Pushing through boredom is how you practice patience. It teaches you to keep your eyes on the long game instead of chasing short bursts of excitement. You will also discover that boredom often gives way to breakthroughs. Many great ideas, insights, and moments of clarity come during repetitive work. Your mind, no longer distracted, begins to connect ideas in the background. This is why some people say their best thoughts come while walking, exercising, or doing routine tasks. By enduring boredom, you create space for deeper creativity to emerge. Don't confuse boredom with lack of purpose. Sometimes boredom makes you question why you started, but remind yourself the goal did not change just because the excitement faded. Your reasons for beginning are still valid. Return to them, write them down, place them where you can see that when boredom tempts you to stop, your reasons remind you why you must continue. There is a moment in every pursuit when boredom is strongest, usually right before progress becomes visible again. That's why so many people give up just before they were about to break through. They stop one step away from the reward. Don't let boredom trick you into stopping early. Push through that wall and you will find renewed energy waiting on the other side. At the end of your life, you will not be proud of the things you quit because they felt dull. You will be proud of the things you carried through, despite boredom. Those are the achievements that stand the test of time. Those are the habits that built your character. Those are the choices that turned ordinary days into extraordinary results. So the next time boredom whispers that it's not worth it, remember this truth. Boredom is temporary, but progress is permanent. If you push through, you win. If you stop, you lose not just the habit, but the future it could have created. Keep going, stay steady, endure the plain hours, and one day you'll look back and realize that the best moments were the ones that built the brightest results. That is how progress comes alive, not by chasing excitement, but by pushing through boredom until your consistency turns into achievement. Chapter 10. Treat every minute as proof of how serious you are. Every minute tells a story about you. It reveals how much you value your time, how much you respect your goals, and how serious you are about the life you claim you want. You can say with words that you want success, discipline, or change, but your minutes tell the truth. If your minutes are spent drifting, if they are scattered across distractions and wasted in careless choices, then no amount of words can cover the fact that you are not committed. But if your minutes are spent with intention, if they are directed toward growth, learning, building and strengthening, then your seriousness is undeniable. Time never lies. It shows exactly who you are becoming. When you begin to treat every minute as proof of your seriousness, life shifts. You stop waiting for tomorrow to improve your habits. You stop pretending you have endless hours to waste. You recognize that each minute holds weight, and that what you do with it compounds into the kind of life you build. 1 minute of laziness may feel harmless, but multiplied across days and years, it turns into wasted potential. 1 minute of effort may feel small, but stacked across time, it turns into mastery. The seriousness of your life is revealed in what you do with the minutes right in front of you. The discipline of valuing every minute forces you to look honestly at your choices. What do you reach for when you are tired? How do you spend the time between tasks? Do you default to entertainment and distraction, or do you use that time to move forward? When you begin to measure yourself by minutes instead of vague intentions, excuses fall apart. The clock makes things simple. You either use this minute well or you didn't, and there is nowhere to hide from that truth. Many people sabotage themselves by treating time as if it were infinite. They live as though they will always have tomorrow to improve. That false sense of abundance makes them careless, but the reality is harsh. Time is limited, and it is slipping away whether you use it or not. The people who achieve extraordinary results are not always the smartest or the most talented. They are the ones who live with the urgency of knowing every minute counts. They understand that how they spend their minutes today is the clearest reflection of how serious they are about their future. Think about someone training for greatness. Every practice, every repetition, every drill may look small, but each minute spent with focus is proof of commitment. On the other hand, skipping practice, delaying effort, or choosing distraction over discipline is proof of carelessness. Success is never an accident. It is a reflection of how consistently someone values their time. You cannot hide your seriousness. It is written in the minutes you spend. The way you treat your minutes also affects the way others see you. People notice how you use your time. If you waste it, they know you are not serious. If you protect it, they respect you. Time discipline builds credibility. When you are known as someone who values every minute, opportunities come to you because people trust that you will use them well. Treating your minutes with seriousness doesn't just shape your future, it shapes your reputation. You might ask, how do I begin living this way? The first step is awareness. Start by noticing where your minutes actually go. Pay attention to the small decisions. How long you linger on your phone, how quickly you return to work after breaks, how much time you give to meaningless activities. Awareness alone is powerful because it reveals how many opportunities you've been throwing away. Once you see the truth, you can no longer pretend you are serious while wasting time. The second step is commitment. Decide that from this day forward, you will treat your minutes as evidence. Every time you choose to use a minute wisely, you are proving to yourself that you are serious. Every time you waste one, you are proving the opposite. That level of accountability may feel uncomfortable, but it forces growth. It removes the gap between what you say and what you do. The third step is action. Fill your minutes with choices that align with who you want to become. If you want to be healthier, use minutes to prepare meals, to move your body, to rest with intention. If you want to be wealthier, use minutes to learn skills, to create, to manage your money. If you want better relationships, use minutes to listen, to connect, to show care. Every area of life improves when you start respecting your minutes. There will always be temptations to waste time, Distractions are designed to be easy. They require nothing of you but seriousness demands. It demands that you choose the uncomfortable path of growth over the comfortable path of waste. Each time you resist distraction, each time you stay with the task at hand, you are proving that you value your future more than temporaries. That is the mark of seriousness. Some may argue that it's exhausting to treat every minute with such weight. But the truth is, you don't need to be perfect. You need to be intentional. Rest is important. Enjoyment is important. But even rest and enjoyment can be intentional. Rest when it serves you, not when you are running away from work. Enjoyment when it recharges you, not when it distracts you endlessly. The difference between serious people and careless people is not that one never rests. It is that one rests with purpose, while the other wastes time mindless. As you practice this discipline, you will notice a new sense of pride. At the end of the day, you will look back at how you spent your hours and you will see proof. Proof that you were serious about your goals. Proof that you respected yourself enough not to waste your time. Proof that you are building the life you said you wanted. That pride is fuel. It makes you stronger for tomorrow. The opposite is also true. If you look back and see wasted hours, you feel regret. That regret eats away at your confidence. You begin to doubt your ability to change. You tell yourself stories to soften the pain. I was tired. I'll do better tomorrow. But those are excuses, not evidence. The evidence is always in how you spent your minutes. And if you don't change those wasted minutes, add up to wasted years. This is why urgency matters. Don't wait for a new year, a new month, or even a new week to begin living seriously. Start now. The next minute is already arriving. Fill it with intention. Do something meaningful with it. Prove your seriousness today, not tomorrow. Each day you delay is another day you show yourself that you are not committed. Change the message. Prove yourself. Now, over time, this practice reshapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and fails. You begin to see yourself as someone who values time deeply. That identity becomes powerful. It guides your choices automatically. When faced with distraction, you no longer ask, "Do I want to waste this time?" You already know the answer. You already know that every minute matters. You already know that every minute matters. You already know that every minute matters. You already know that seriousness is shown, not spoken. And here's the deeper truth. The life you want is already within reach, but only if you start treating time as the treasure it is. You don't need another secret strategy. You don't need to wait for someone else to give you permission. You need only to use your minutes wisely, to stack them into hours of progress, to let those hours build days of achievement, and to let those days create years of transformation. Every person has the same number of minutes each day. Some use them as proof of discipline, focus, and commitment. Others waste them and wonder why life never changes. You get to choose which one you become. You get to decide whether your minutes show seriousness or carelessness, and you make that decision not once, but every single day. Every single hour, every single moment. So ask yourself right now, if someone looked at how you spent your last 100 minutes, would they say you were serious about your goals? If not, change it. If yes, strengthen it. Let your time speak for you. Let your actions be your proof. Let your minutes reveal the truth that you are committed, focused, and determined. Because in the end, words fade, excuses fade, intentions fade, but the way you spend your time leaves a record that cannot be erased. Treat every minute as proof of how serious you are, and your life will become the undeniable evidence of your discipline, your commitment, and your greatness.